On the line. You're welcome to Eyewitness News, sir.
Thank you very much, Sander.
So the organization you used to work with, the Media Foundation for West Africa, made a formal request for the president to release the full KPMG report through the RTI. The president refused. The president yesterday decides to do a U-turn, but explained that it is in the interest of fairness and openness. What's your initial comment to that earlier U-turn and the decision to release the report to the public?
Well, Sander, I don't think there's even the need to withhold this report. There wasn't the need to withhold the report in the first place. We have had instances in the past, and I make specific reference to the GRA report in 2013 when I investigated a youth employment scandal and President Mahama constituted a committee. We didn't have the right to information law at the time, but President Mahama went ahead to release it without anybody writing under any law. So this report was made. The president had already given his opinion and published it. So I don't know how that would have impeded anything for the president to stop the release of the report. But I think the pressure, and now knowing what we know, there appears to be a good reason for anybody in government wanting to shield this report.
Let's talk about the content of the report now. Even though the presidency hesitated, now the report is out there. We're told that the deal was to help us plug some loopholes. You are the man who thought that we were just wasting money on a project that should not have even been contracted in the first place. Having read the report now and seeing the full reasoning, are you satisfied that perhaps maybe your premise in the investigation was faulty?
Not at all, Sander. If there's anything, this report, if you read it critically, you would realize that it confirms almost everything we said, except the attempt to attribute the gains made in the sector to SML. Let me use this analogy. A Citi FM has some problems that impinge on productivity and profitability. Let's say lateness to work, laziness, and perhaps pilfering. And then the management of Citi FM engages a number of companies to come and then fill these loopholes. And then one of the companies is not solving any of these problems that management identified. Then it will be very ridiculous for management to attribute any success in the sector to the efforts of that company. I'm saying this because when we went into the sector and this documentary produced, we spoke to GRA officials, we spoke to SML officials, we spoke to industry players, people at the depots and the OMCs. These were not our opinions. SML put on their website that they were stopping under declaration and under reporting, diversion of petroleum product, and dilution. And then we went to the company after we finished our investigation and realized that these services were being done by other companies. We have Rock Africa, we have Nationwide Technologies Limited, we have the ERDMS, which is at the MPA. If anybody goes to MPA today, they have systems that are able to track the tankers that lift fuel from Tema. If you are taking it to Boku or Paga, the MPA systems are able to track you. So if you do any diversion anywhere, an alarm will be sent to the MPA system. SML is not involved in all of these things. And they admitted on record that they were not involved. And they proceeded to delete those claims from the website of the company. Then finally, in the past 2 or 3 years, we have seen the GRA and the MPA block and even take the licenses of some oil marketing companies. These are often politically affiliated companies that register and then lift petroleum products from the depots. And when they go to sell, they are supposed to return a component of the tax to the government. But these companies often run away with these taxes. So the MPA and the GRA have come out with a system they call ERDMS. So that if you are an oil marketing company, such as Shell or Total, these are the credible ones, but there were many others. If you don't pay your taxes, you cannot go and load. So tens and even up to close to 100 of those companies have been flushed out of the system because the ERDMS is working. And according to the head of petroleum at the GRA, once you're able to account for your volumes, you'll be able to account for your taxes. So is SML involved in the management of the ERDMS? The answer is no. And they said it on record. And that same company also told us that the already existing meters at the depots are more accurate than the SML meters. It is the reason that all the recordings that SML does, all those recordings are not used for tax purposes. So the question is, how do you credit the hard work of the GRA officials at the depots, the ERDMS, the tracking systems, the systems that stop dilution, diversion, and the declaration? All of these systems are there. SML is not involved in any of them. So how do you credit them for their profit or the incremental revenue that is made in the system? And the GRA actually told us that the revenue increases when volumes increase and also when taxes or rates also increase. So within the period, more people would have bought cars, more taxes were added. And so the amount of taxes we take actually go, or that the taxes, the revenue we get from that sector goes up. And if you look at the KPMG report critically, you will see that not all the depots even have the SML meters in operation. They say about 8 out of the 26 depots don't have the meters yet. But SML is actually paid for that. So you and I, anytime we buy fuel anywhere in Ghana, SML has a percentage of revenue to take. Every liter of fuel purchased anywhere in this country, SML is paid a percentage, whether or not it is monitoring or working at the depot from which that fuel is lifted. Okay. And this is what we are talking about.
Finally, so for you, there was no leakage. Even if there was, SML has not been able to plug that particular leakage. Now, the difficult thing is, from what we observe from the report, is that the contract has become an albatross around our neck now. If we terminate, we pay judgment debt. You are saying that there's no point keeping it. What do? We can neither terminate nor continue. So what happens?
Sandra, I don't see where there is judgment debt.
It talks about liability, that we will be liable as a country, and if they bring an action, then they will succeed.
The liability comes when the company is able to demonstrate how much they have spent and then how much they are losing. The SML report, even before the full one came out, the presidency said SML tried to get, the KPMG tried to get SML to actually tell us or give evidence of its investment into this contract. The company couldn't justify that. We also know that over 1 billion cedis has already been paid to this company. Come again?
Continue.
Yes, over 1 billion Ghana cedis has already been paid to this company. So if there is any money to be taken, Ghana should be chasing SML for money the company did not earn and not the other way around. I have just told you SML takes revenue from fuel that is lifted from all the depots in this country, a percentage. But the report says their meters are not yet working in some of the depots, but they are paid for that. Ghana should rather go to SML and chase them for money, and the state and public officials that cause these huge losses to the state should be facing the courts.
Very well. Thank you.
I don't see any judgment debt here when we rather should be chasing the company for money they have not earned.
Thank you for speaking to us, sir.
Thank you for having me.
That's Manasseh Azure Awuni. He is an investigative journalist.